Well, this one wasn't on my list to review until I saw it pop up on Peacock. And I had a feeling that if I even spent 99 cents on this film, that I would possibly regret it, and I would say I was right. Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey exists, and there's actually even a sequel on the way next year. While I've had some horror films and other genres do R-rated spin-offs of popular children's films, children's TV shows, that's been a huge thing these last several years, and their aim is just to wreck people and their childhood memories. For instance, there's the Mean One with the killer Grinch, played by the same actor who plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier films. There's the Happy Time Murders with Criminal Muppets. There's the Banana Splits. And just one more, there's also going to be a Peter Pan horror film coming out, so that'll be something. Might as well do a fucking Barney horror film at this point. Wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure it's on the way the next year or two. So, yay. So, with this last minute addition to my October reviews for Halloween month, Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey, holy shit. Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey is written and directed by Rhys Frake Waterfield, and I'm just going to rattle off a few of his films he's done over the years, or ones he's been a part of. And like I said in the intro, he is actually helping to work on the horror film Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, which sounds like an old haunted house attraction, but it is what it is. But also we have the Area 51 Incident, Fire NATO, Dinosaur Hotel, The Killing Tree, Pterodactyl, the Easter Bunny Massacre, and there are so many more than where that came from. But also, to be fair, I should also put some respect on this man's name probably, because he stays making money off of films like this. Films based off our morbid curiosity alone. He needs next to no budget to draw people in and to make his living, which is likely a much better living than I'll ever make in my lifetime. Particularly with childhood characters turn horrific nightmare fuel. Too many of us are morbid enough to give it a shot typically, so great job, man. Play that system. And speaking of, to be completely transparent, I am pretty interested in just about all those films I just mentioned. Call me what you want, but that's just my blunt honesty there. That being said, this film is, of course, awful. Wasn't trying to be anything more than that. I think I would have had a better time watching Jeepers Creepers Reborn again, to be honest with you, even on repeat, than to watch this one more time. But the story follows animals of 100 Acre Woods, crossbreeds, abominations, as they are described at different points in the intro, or something along those lines, who befriend a boy named Christopher Robin. He finds them and becomes friends with them. He brings them food so they don't go hungry. That is, until he leaves for college, and he abandons them, making them bitter, feral creatures who vow to not speak anymore and to hate humans forever. This whole intro told, of course, with cute little classic drawings resembling the Winnie-the-Pooh stories. The copyright on Winnie-the-Pooh actually lapsed in 2022, making anything possible as far as who can handle the content and the characters involved. So, here we are. Some positives. The design of Piglet and Pooh, they're definitely budget friendly, but they're kind of cool, kind of creepy in some ways, I would say, so I didn't mind those whenever I saw them on screen. Especially Pooh, who constantly is dribbling honey throughout. And then Piglet's little snorts as he's breathing, especially when he's attacking somebody. But also just, of course, of how fucking massive these two characters are. There's a couple times, actually, where Pooh's mask actually shifts, and his facial expressions change. It doesn't seem to do it often, but when it does, that, I would say, is the creepiest part of this film. There's also a couple cool kills, one or two, despite their budget limitations with some CGI blood, but a couple were a little different. Also, it's cool to view and take in these different parts of 100 Acre Woods, all the little props and everything. But, alright, enough of that. This film has a short runtime, but still feels a bit long in places, despite this, which is kind of odd considering how fast things move along, how fast they transition to introducing characters, to now attacking them and killing them. It moves pretty fast, but it still felt overlong for being under an hour and a half. One of the main issues for me is you get close to no time to build any of the characters whatsoever. Not that they're very interesting in the first place, but close to none of the women get any sort of characterization besides the main one, whose name is Maria. Her other friends, who have names, I'm sure, are there for fun, basically. For fun for Piglet and Pooh, as you come to find out, and that's not really a spoiler. I think that was meant to be known ahead of time. There's just no time to get invested in anyone because they don't even try to help you get there. It's not necessary for a fun, stupid little horror film, but I think some sort of charm, some better attempts at building humor between the characters would have helped me be more invested in the film. But even if you did put more time aside for this, it might still be impossible to care at the end of the day because, my God, the acting is atrocious. And when it comes to the terrible acting, it is especially bad with the actor that plays Christopher Robin, who has a name. But anyway, the group of women are only slightly better. I feel weird using the term better, but sure, we'll go with that. Again, a couple of the kills were kind of cool, but the rest mostly we've seen 1,000 times before to some extent. They also use slow motion several times, which actually can still be pulled off in films today, just in general. But when hardly anything good is happening around it, it's going to be hard for those shots to be incredibly impactful or impressive. And the way they're done here is just okay anyway. Decision making is to be expected, below par. And I know it's supposed to be a fun slasher, cut your brain off and enjoy, but it's just really not that fun. Plus I nearly got a headache leaning in and squinting because the lighting is also atrocious, just how dark it is. And again, it takes place at night, of course, but they could have done a little bit better with the lighting to where you could at least make out what was going on. I just felt like I was leaning in too much trying to figure out the actions that were taking place, and it just kind of hindered my enjoyment even more. In Jeepers Creepers Reborn, it was on the opposite end of the spectrum with the lighting, but at least you could always make out what was happening on like a very brief bright side here. Little sidebar. I'm in a couple horror Facebook groups where we just post about movies we like or don't like, and we get other people's opinions on them and laugh and joke about them, whatever the case. I actually made a brief post about Winnie-the-Pooh and kind of compared my enjoyment to Jeepers Creepers Reborn, not because they're similar films, just because of this being a recent film that I watched. And somebody mentioned that at least Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey is self-aware, while Jeepers Creepers Reborn was trying to be a really serious horror film. And as I told him, it's a great point. I just can't help that I had more fun with Jeepers Creepers Reborn than this one, to be honest with you, and that's not saying much, as it's still a terrible film that I didn't enjoy. But I just felt like that one had more that I could at least laugh at, intentional or not. One thing I do want to say, not just for this film, but every film, I like a lot of trashy horror films, again, whether they're meant to be funny or not. There's a lot that I like, even though I probably shouldn't. So I do understand that people do like this film. A lot of people are fans of this, already have merch for it and everything. And they just like it for what it is. They find entertainment in it. And I do understand if you do that. I think for me, and again, this film could land differently for me on a different day, but it just seemed less fun than a lot of the other trash horror films that I've watched. I found myself kind of bored throughout a lot of moments. It kind of felt like it was going through these very basic emotions without the extra charm of being funny. I knew it was going to be bad. I was aware of that. But I was just expecting more. I don't know. I was just expecting more out of it. But you love what you love, and I respect that with anybody at the end of the day. films are very subjective in what you like and why you like them, so I'm never going to truly argue with somebody on what they like. I will discuss my thoughts on some specifics, so I will go into some spoilers if you still want to see the film. I can't say I absolutely don't recommend it because of everything I just said, because a lot of people still embrace this film and love it and want to see it again, want to own it, want to buy the merch for it, and they just love the stupidity in it. And I do wish that I could have made it there myself, and again, on another day, this film might land slightly better for me, but it's just not what I was wanting out of it to really call it a guilty pleasure. So for spoilers, like I said, a couple kills were okay. The main one being the first girl in the house to die. I think her name is Laura. There, I learned a name. But she has her head smashed basically with a car's tire that's slowly driven over it. And just the whole effect was kind of cool. Again, some CGI blood, but I don't see that kind of kill every day. I'm not going to harp on the effects of the kills too much because I know there were budgetary restrictions. I try not to harass movies too much for that. Also, just watching Piglet with a sledgehammer was kind of hardcore, to be honest. I think my biggest reason for not being invested in this film was, again, the characters. I wasn't expecting this incredible depth or anything, but even in a lot of other bad films I like, there's still some charm or at least some kind of humor in like their exchanges and their personalities. But here it just felt like bland conversations between just bland people, so it really didn't get me much to work with in between the kills. What a lot of great horror comedies do right is that they have at least some characters who are at least funny or interesting to listen to. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil and The Cabin in the Woods are great examples of this. Also Night of the Creeps. But here, when the acting is this bad and the characters are given no more direction than to cry, scream, complain, whatever, it actually dampens the surrounding content that actually kind of works. Pooh and Piglet again were kind of cool. Pooh running and chasing people was actually pretty terrifying. But everything around that was just so dull, including a lot of the kill scenes again. And again, there's a chance this film will grow on me a little if I ever watch it again, which probably won't be anytime soon, to be honest. But for today, this is just how I'm feeling. And again, I tried to embrace the acting for what it was. And looking back, I do think I find the initial scene funny with Christopher Robin and his wife. Just their whole exchange about him imagining Pooh, Piglet, Rabbit, everybody from when he was a kid. It's kind of comical seeing them go back and forth, and then when Christopher Robin hears a noise and chases after it just screaming for these characters, she's just so confused. I do look back fondly on that scene. That was a hilarious opening scene. There's actually a scene with Christopher Robin in that scene where his wife is being killed by Piglet. He barely puts hands on Piglet to try and stop him from doing what he's doing. He does the cliche distress thing where he extends his arm out and his hand, yelling at Piglet to stop, begging him to let her go. It just felt weird because he's like feet away from him, not even desperately trying to do anything about it. I feel like this move with the extended arm is usually reserved for people who are either too far away or too injured to step in and try and help. I don't know, that might be like a weird thing I noticed, but it's just a funny shot to me, especially with his voice. I think the main thing also is just everything just landed more so annoying most of the time than comical. I don't find that much to be particularly memorable outside of the design of Pooh and Piglet and the general plot. There's dumb decisions, yes, but of course, again, that's to be expected. I think for now I'll have to go with maybe a 2 out of 10 for Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey. On another day, this could land better for me, especially depending on the situation, who I'm watching it with. But right now, it's just really not my thing personally. I understand if it's yours. Even if it worked for me on a different day, I likely don't see myself going any higher than a 3.5 to a 4 out of 10. But what do you guys think? Is this a fun watch for you? What's your favorite trashy horror film? I'd love to hear that. If you're going to watch it, I would highly recommend you having a group of friends to watch it with, or a spouse or somebody who shares the same sense of humor or love for certain films. With a group of friends on a Friday night or something, I can see this being a really fun time, whether you like the film or not. I am here to hear everybody's thoughts on this, and again, to be completely transparent, I will definitely see the sequel, I think, when it comes out next year, I think it is. These films are still hard for me to resist, no matter what I think about them at the end. But also, guys, happy October, happy Halloween season. For me, Halloween season in my head began on August 1st, but that's just me. If nothing else, I think we can all agree it's that time of year now, and I'm incredibly excited to get more reviews out and just embrace this season. I live in Georgia, and fall is one of the few seasons we kind of get right, so that's another positive. Well, I have to get back to work for now, but later I'll definitely slam some Oktoberfest beers and have myself a night. But I'll see you guys next time on The Entertainment Room.